Hey, you gotta come quick. Lang's hurt.
What?
Yeah, he hurt himself. He needs help.
Lang, what's going on? What's up?
It's just a paper cut, guys.
What?
It's just a paper cut.
Hey guys, welcome to Gear Tasting. Today I wanted to go over something that we just got in stock at the ITS store. I don't usually talk about products that we have on ITS, but I am going to today because it's relevant to a question that came up on a past Gear Tasting. Someone had asked about the battery holders that I had in my Loadout. So I had gone over Loadout that I had at muster. This is an LBT 1961 chest rig, and in one of these pockets here I keep this. So this is a lock sack bag with a couple of these battery holders in it for all different flavors of batteries and sizes. So I've got AA's, AAA's, and 123 batteries, which power all my electronic devices and things that I have on me when I typically have this Loadout with me. So 123 batteries usually power if I'm running a shooting class. I've got the D-ball if I'm shooting with night vision. So that's 123. My flashlight, that A2 Aviator from Surefire, also takes 123s. AA's are in my GPS. So I think that's a Garmin. Yeah, anyway. No, that's the old GPS. Sorry. AAA's are what's in my 401. And then, let's see, what else? AAA's are in hearing protection, and AA's are in something that I can't think of right now. So at any rate, I have all three flavors of batteries and I always keep those on me. So these battery holders are pretty nice because all you do is push up from the bottom and they pop right out. So you can store your AA's and AAA's and 123s. The bottom has a little circular cutout right there that kind of helps the positive side of the batteries be a little more retained because it actually fits in the bottom. But personally, I don't run them that way. So what I do is I have them right side up so the positive terminals are towards the top. And then if I use the battery and I'm putting it back in this storage container, I'll flip it upside down, and that's my indication to know that I've used the battery. So that's kind of how I use them. I'm sure that's not the right way, but it's my way. So at any rate, these come in this OD green color, and we've got them in all these colors here. They come in black. In again, all four colors come in all three varieties, so AA, AAA, 123. These are glow in the dark, which they're pretty bright as far as the glow goes. You want to cut the lights, maybe you can see them. And then they're really hard, rigid plastic. There you go. So they glow pretty good in the dark. Very easy to find. So you might want to check those out if you're interested in them. Like I said, the rigid, a couple other things about them. What else did I want to say? Orange, black, OD green. This is called Moonshine, is their glow-in-the-dark color. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to say. So there's a little detent. I did want to talk about that. So there's a detent at the top that actually pops out when these go in, so they're not going to shake down. I know what I was going to say. So with batteries, the reason you want a storage device like this is that if the positive and negative terminals contact each other when they're, let's say, just in this bag, if I just had loose batteries in here, they can actually drain out and lose their charge. So that's the point in keeping them in something like this, whether it's these or whether it's something else, it doesn't matter. I've actually had quite a few different varieties of battery storage devices over the years, and I meant to get these out to show that. So I've had these before. The problem with these is that I found that these lids come off. Basically, they release pretty easily. And I don't remember who makes this kind, but I've had these before, and that's what kind of led me to these. I've also used let me see if I grab it. 1 second. I've also used the Surefire battery holders before, battery containers. And I should have one in here. There it is. So Surefire makes their own brand of battery holder. It's just for 123 batteries though. I do like them because it's a waterproof container and it holds a spare lamp for certain lights depending on what size battery holder you get. And it's nice. It's a little bulky for me. I don't like the, I'm not really a fan of the circular configuration. It's got a lanyard you can put on it and stuff like that. But I mean, when you're talking about 4 123s, I prefer something like this. It's a little smaller. So anyway, that's the Surefire branded one. And again, I don't know who makes these, but these are just for AA batteries. So you can see the AA's fit in fairly well in these things. And it is interesting that you can lock them together, so you can make a thing of 8 with this configuration. But I keep going back to these, so that's why we're carrying them. So again, with a lot of the products we have on ITS, the reason we're carrying them is because, you know, it's just stuff we use. It's nothing against other products on the market. It's just kind of what we've come up with, what we like. And the other thing too is when you put AAA's in here, they rattle around, and I can't remember whether you can fit 123s in here, but I'm willing to bet not. Well, you can fit 123s in here. You kind of squeeze them in there. But so anyway, these are store cell battery holders that we're carrying on ITS, so check them out if you're interested. All right, let's take some questions over coffee. The first question, and the only question, honestly, I'm going to do today, just because it's going to be fairly in-depth, as you can see, comes from Bryson, who gave me shit over Twitter about not cutting my hair. So, Bryson, I got a haircut just for you. I'm not all that happy with it, but I got one just for you. All right? So, your question is, you literally can't do an in-depth video on your TSSI M9 bag and its content soon enough, literally. All right, here we go. So I'm going to do a in-depth look into the TSSI M9 bag, as well as show this little squad medic bag that I keep in my truck. So the way that I kind of delineate medical kits and what I carry and what I keep around the house and things like that are kits are with me in the vehicle. So I always have our vacuum sealed trauma kits. I actually have one on each side of my console or dash. I have the little mounts in my FJ. They're MOLLE mounts basically, and I have our pouches loaded with trauma kits on those sides. So I've got a tourniquet on each one too, so either the driver or the passenger can grab a trauma kit or a tourniquet. I've also got those Benchmade rescue hooks. I think it's the 7 hook. We used to have them a while back on ITS, but we don't have them anymore. I don't know why, but I'll have to talk to Warehouse about that. Anyway, so that's what I have in the vehicle, and then I have this bag behind the seat. So behind the seat, I've got this to jump out with if I need more than, you know, just a vacuum sealed trauma kit and a tourniquet. And then also in my pocket, I've always got an EDC kit on me too. So that's kind of my, you know, my layered approach to medical kits. And then this bag doesn't go with me in a vehicle. This is actually on a shelf in my garage, and I can grab that if I need it. I can also pull it out to do stuff around the house if anybody needs meds that aren't in the cabinet and things like that, because I do keep meds in this too. And just to kind of say this up front, because I think when I start getting into the bag, it's going to get a little diluted and I might forget to talk about this. But so everything has expiration dates, as you know, with medical equipment, and I track all of that in a program called OmniFocus. It's also my super OCD to-do list project management software that I use to keep track of everything. And I've actually written an article on ITS about OmniFocus, and I will link to that as well in the description. But the beauty of OmniFocus is it has dates to set specific tasks for. So you can set a task for in the future to remind you, and there's due dates and things like that. So it's a little involved, but I actually take inventory of every bag. I have everything that's in these, and I have a due date on it. So I know when something's approaching. OmniFocus is great about that. It gives you a little yellow indicator on the label of the actual to-do itself, or your next action is what OmniFocus calls them. It turns yellow when it's about due, red when it's past due, so you can really kind of get a visual feel for what's coming up too. So I know ahead of time that, oh, hey, my combat gauze is about to expire. I need to do something about that. So just to get that up. So I'm going to change camera angles real quick so you guys can actually see more of the contents up close, and we'll go through these two bags. All right, so first is the squad medic bag, and I call it squad medic bag just for the pure sake that it can treat more than one person. That's kind of the idea behind this. So this is more of a trauma bag at the squad level, where this other bag has more of boo-boo stuff and things like that in it too. So we also have boo-boo kits that we sell too, and you can check those out. We'll put a link too. But a boo-boo kit is what we kind of term more as the first aid kit. So this particular bag that rides with me in the vehicle is more trauma related. So basically everything you see in here is designed for trauma, with the exception of a few things, and I'll point those out first. I always carry Leuco Tape with me, just because if something happens and I wind up walking, have to throw on the spare pair of boots I keep in my truck and the socks and all the other stuff that you should have in your vehicle too. If I get hot spots on my feet, I can always fix them with Leuco Tape. And there's also a thing of Body Glide in here too, which is great to rub on your feet when you're developing hot spots too. So this is kind of my foot care section of the bag. It's not necessarily trauma related like I was saying, but that's about, I guess that's the extent. Maybe some medical tape too. Durapore is my favorite tape that 3M makes. It's what we keep in include in our boo-boo kits too, at the boo-boo kit plus level. So, and then, so if I kind of break this down, I guess, a little bit by the 3 leading preventable causes of death in the field, which is what our trauma kits are designed to treat. I don't know what I did with my trauma kit. At any rate, so the ETA in our ETA kits stands for extremity hemorrhage. So if I'm talking about severe bleeding, massive bleeding, trauma, things like that, I'm going to go to combat gauze. So I've got, basically in this thing, I've got 2 larger packs of combat gauze. This is the XL, so it packs probably double the amount, I think, if I remember correctly. So 4" by 4 yards, and the standard pack is 3" by 4 yards. So it's basically wider, still the same length. So I've got 2 packs of that and 2 packs of the XL in there. As long as I have these are ammonia inhalants. Then I've got a H&H burn gauze. I've also got some burn gel. I think I got off track. I was talking about bleeding, but let's just keep going through this. So burn gel, obviously these are dressings if you are in a burn situation. Caleb, my friend from Lone Star Medics, who's also kind of our medical extraordinaire at ITS, helps out with a lot of stuff like at our muster. He told me to ditch these. He doesn't really care for the burn gel stuff, but I still have them in here because I think they're still going. Yeah, obviously I didn't get an indicator saying those are expired yet. But so this is also a burn dressing from H&H that I have in here. A couple of Halo seals, which I need to actually put the vented ones in there because that's what the TCCC is calling for now. That's the COTCCC. These are reference cards for the TCCC guidelines. They're on plastic, so they hold up really well. I've got a couple of, basically these are patient cards, so basically triage cards. So if there's a triage type situation where different people have different things wrong with them, that would be the case. Also put some Gorilla Tape in there just in case, because sometimes Durapore doesn't always stick to the skin. So this is just a kind of beefier tape that I have in there. Got 2 soft T wide tourniquets that are ready to go. I've also got some just hand sanitizer just in case. A couple of cravats, a couple of basically like ace wraps, but these are the ones that TacMed makes. And got a couple of chem lights, a red and a green, just in case. Since I was in the Navy, I kind of think about starboard and port and red and green. That's kind of why I'm carrying red and green chem lights. Some just regular Z-Pak Gauze. This is actually the gauze we used to have a long time ago in our trauma kits, but it's fairly bulky. Z-folded gauze. Got a couple of Olaze bandages from Tactical Medical Solutions, as well as one of their blast bandages here. And then this is the battle wrap from Combat Medical Systems. In the back here, I've also got a space blanket, face shield for CPR, and a signal panel and MPIL, basically like a VS17. And then in the lid of this, so I've got basically a Sharpie. I've got a couple of, I think what's behind here? Yeah, petroleum gauze is behind the Sharpie. Then I've got a little light that I can clip on a hat if I need to, just as an accessory light. I've always got a flashlight in my pocket though. A couple of MPAs for airway obstructions, a couple of needles for chest wounds, basically tension pneumothorax. And then I've got a couple of pairs of hemostats, just in case I need those for anything. Great for just kind of picking up things and getting things out of the way. Then in the front here, I've also got a SAM splint. So that's basically just a splint. It's flexible though, which is nice. A couple of our pencils in the front, a couple of casualty cards, in case I need that. So that is kind of, I think, covers everything that's in here. Pretty sure I went through everything. This accessory pouch on the front are gloves. I used to have just a bunch of single gloves stuffed in here, but Caleb was actually just talking to me about this bag a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned, rolling up each gloves into a pack of 2. That way you know exactly how many you have, and if you grab for something in here, you're always pulling out a pair of gloves, not just a single glove. So, a little tip that I thought was a very good point. Got some medical shears up front. These are the older style Mojo medical shears that they don't make anymore. They do have the Coyote versions now, but I've just never upgraded those. And then in the top lid here, got some oral rehydration salts. And that is about the extent of this one. So for the sake of time, I will move on to the next bag, but that's just an idea of what I have in this one. And then the stethoscope, in case you're wondering, is not just checking for a heartbeat. If sometimes with the tension pneumothorax, you may have trouble diagnosing what side it has a collapsed lung, and that's the best way to check is with a stethoscope. So, all right, so moving on. My anal retentiveness is going crazy because now I just screwed up my bag and I'm going to put it all back together. All right, so onto the M9 bag. On the front of the bag here, I've just got some trauma shears tucked in the MOLLE webbing, as well as one of our Mojo lanyards in the front here. And I think I addressed this on our last thing, but I'll say it again. What I like about this bag is that this lower pouch, first of all, these straps are for putting on a litter or something onto the bottom of the pack if you wanted to do that. But the pouch that's on or pocket that's on the bottom here is actually also accessible on the inside through here. So as you can see, that's the same pocket accessible from the inside. And I like that because it doesn't matter which way you're trying to do that from, you can access that pocket. So one thing I like about this bag is it has these nice grab handles that Velcro down when you're not using them. And that's kind of how I keep it, just like this on the shelf, so I can just grab a handle and go. But it does have the option, before I get into this, let me just talk about the bag a little more too. So it does have the option here. There's soft shoulder straps, which is just, these are actually sewn in. You can't remove these. So if I was going to undo this here. So these are shoulder straps that come out of the bottom of the bag. And then there's also a waist strap, if I remember correctly. Yep. So here's the waist strap. It's just a single piece of webbing. And again, here's the other shoulder strap. So like I mentioned, these are soft shoulder straps, but it also came with more heavy-duty shoulder straps if you wanted to use those. So basically, there's a metal, looks like a D-ring up here, and you can weave through the strap here. I feel like there was a tri-glide and it's missing, so that's what it needs here to secure this strap. But at any rate, you would then take this here and clip that in, and now you've got your more durable shoulder straps as well as a sternum strap for that pack. So just a quick look at the strap configurations and options here. I'm pretty sure I removed those tri-glides here that they needed to affix the shoulder straps. So when you get into the main body of the bag, so that's what you're all looking forward to. So you've got individual compartments, which I'll kind of address here first. So these can be pulled out, and I think the best way for me to do this is to just kind of detach one of these, and I can talk about what I have in each one of them. All right, so again, the back wall of the bag is all loop lined, which I think is pretty cool. And I picked both of these bags up on eBay. Actually, I like to shop for deals on gear sometimes on eBay. So I can't remember what the brand is on this Squad Medic bag, but that's where I picked that up, as well as got a pretty good deal on this TSSI M9 bag on eBay too. Because I think they retail for like $350 or something like that. And it's a pricey bag, but it's very versatile. I'm really happy with it. I definitely didn't pay that much on eBay, but and it was brand new almost. I didn't see anything wrong with it. So the top lid here are my meds. So I carry New Skin for Poison Ivy, I carry Carmex, I carry Afrin, I carry Visine, and I get the actual Real Tears stuff. A little thing of hand sanitizer. This is my favorite sunscreen in the world, Kinesis. It's SPF 30. This is like an ear solution if you have swimmer's ear. These are lozenges, so this is Cepacol. And this is, the reason I use these is because it's actually got benzocaine in it, which is actually a med. So this is different than just taking a Ricola or something like that. This is actually much better than that, in my opinion. Then I've got Motrin. And then on each one of these, I took the time to print out a little piece of paper and put it in each little, these are the Easy Dose pill bags, and I actually wrote an article on ITS about this. I'll make sure I link to that too, talking about the different medicines. Some people are against taking them out of their original containers because then you lose information, but that's why I make the little cards like this, because that's the information I put on here. So I put dosage on here, I put expiration dates, all that kind of stuff. So. And I'm noticing now that my ibuprofen has expired. That's great. Guess I didn't see that. All right, so ibuprofen, I've got pseudoephedrine, which is Sudafed, which is now you have to show your driver's license to get that. I've got antihistamine, which is basically Benadryl. I've got Pepto-Bismol, drew a blank, sorry. And then I've also got motion sickness, so Dramamine. And then these are just more of the ammonia inhalants, and yeah, more ammonia inhalants that I had in that other bag. So this is just a few of those in here. So that's medicines, or my meds. And again, this is one of the things I tend to watch more of on my expiration dates, and obviously I missed the one on ibuprofen. But personally, and this is not medical advice, but I tend to let things stick around a little bit after expiration dates, and that's my personal opinion. So, all right, so moving on, the next pouch down is more oral rehydration salts. I've got some smaller finger splints for SAM splints. I picked this up a couple years ago, and I've never been able to find these again, but I think it's a cool way of organizing Band-Aids. Those are all my Band-Aids. Again, this is like the bag that travels with me if I'm going on. I do a lot of work with scouts. I'm an assistant scoutmaster for my son's troop, so this is the bag that goes with me on all those things. And obviously I'm using meds and Band-Aids and things like that a lot more than I am, trauma gear. So while this bag does have stuff to treat trauma, it's also got, the smaller stuff like meds and things like that, and Band-Aids for those kind of things. Gauze pads, we've got some. This is alcohol prep pads, sting relief pads, and I think there's also iodine in here too. Steri strips, burn gel, triple antibiotic. This is an old first aid eye dressing from an old school first aid kit, old military's first aid kit. Some petroleum gauze, and that is that pouch. So then moving down, next I've got ace wrap basically. I've got a couple of cravats. Vet wrap, if you don't know what vet wrap is, this is basically Coban, and it's a self-adherent wrap. So it's basically like a, it can be used as, well, I don't want to say pressure dressing, but it's basically a wrapping to, like if you have a gauze pad on, you'd wrap it with this and it sticks to itself. So they commonly call it vet wrap because it's used with animals a lot. Space blanket, obviously you'll see some carryover from the stuff I have in the squad bag in this bag too. More Z-Pak, Z-fold dressings. And that is that. Moving on. Got a couple of Eleazer bandages, blast bandage, and a couple of battle wraps from Combat Medical Systems in this one. This is obviously my bigger trauma pads. And then, so in this pocket right here, which actually goes behind that entire wall right there, I've just basically got this loaded down with a bunch of combat gauze. Again, there's a couple of the XL versions, a couple of the regular combat gauzes, and then I've got halo seals back in the back there, as well as some more of that burn gel. So that is what I keep in the back of that. Stays pretty flat. And then real quick before I get into this panel, the top here has a face shield, a lighter. I like to keep a lighter on me just in case for things, as well as, as well as a couple more things of gloves in the top here. So I basically got 3 rolls of gloves in the top. Then moving on to this panel, which is removable. So which I think is kind of interesting that it's removable. So basically I've got airway devices here. I've got a couple of irrigation syringes, a couple of oral airways, a couple of nasopharyngeal airways, a couple of chest darts or needles, a Sharpie and a pencil, and some safety pins. So that's what's in that panel. And then in the bottom of the bag, I've got a couple of soft T-wide tourniquets, MPIL signal panel, a roll of tape. Again, there's the the Leuco tape that's been heavily warped by the heat. A couple other rolls of tape. SAM splint, a full-size SAM splint. Big irrigation syringe, stethoscope, and this is kind of my instrument package. This is an old thing I picked up a while back. So this has just hemostats and other things like that, scissors, tweezers. I've used the tweezers quite a bit to pull out splinters and things like that, so that's kind of why I have that stuff. And then, so this is probably severely expired now, but this is, you know, if anybody that has allergies, you know what an EpiPen is, so that's what that is. I've got an EpiPen just in case. And then I don't personally have allergies, but I have one just in case I'm around people that need one. So that is basically the extent of the bag. I don't think that there's much else to go over bag-wise. I forgot there is a pocket on the back here that's accessible. So this mesh opens up. That's where I have some casualty cards and those TCCC guidelines again. So that is, again, the TSSI M9 bag. That's my loadout for that. And hopefully enjoy my walkthrough of it. All right, guys, thanks for watching this latest episode of Gear Tasting. Be sure to ask us any questions that you have by using the pound tag Gear Tasting on any of the social media networks. And be sure to check back each Thursday. We'll have a new Gear Tasting episode at that time. Thanks for watching.